The time now is 7 p.m. I'll now call this meeting to order. Can everybody hear me? I know. Sorry. Who has the thing to adjust the microphone?
Mine's not working either.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second.
Hello, hello?
Nope.
Hello.
They're not working.
Hello? Uh-oh. Sorry, we're just working on the sound here for a second. Check, check.
Nope.
Check, check.
They're still dead. And Chuck probably has a little back in that school.
Check, check. Check, check.
Well, they can just want you.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay. You know what? I'm just going to start over again this way it's on record. The time now is 7:01. I'm going to call this meeting to order. At this time, if you can please silence your cell phones, electronic devices, that'd be appreciated. Your greeters tonight is City Engineer Alex Schuman and Fire Chief Howard Bailey. We have also in the room here, to my far right and your far left, Recording Secretary Tara Lockhart, City Clerk Susan Dodris, Deputy Mayor, Zone 1 Commissioner Lori Tolland.
Good evening, everyone.
Zone 2 Commissioner Travis Sargent is absent. Zone 3 Commissioner Kristen Deaton.
Good evening.
Zone 4 Commissioner Howard Briley.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
City Manager is not here, so we'll have Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. Also, Assistant City Manager Sean Finley. City Attorney Randy Hayes. And to my far left and your far right, we have Police Chief Jesse Godfrey. And again, Fire Chief Howard Bailey. And I am Mayor Jason Leslie. At this time, I'm going to call up Father Roy Allison to do the invocation at this time.
For pilot Jonathan Johnny Campos and all those whose lives were lost in the crash of the American Airlines plane with a military helicopter. O Lord, give peace to these grieving families and to their friends. Almighty God and Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this beautiful city of Ormond Beach. We pray for Jason, our mayor, Lori, our deputy mayor and Zone 1 commissioner, for Travis, Kristen, and Harold, our city commissioners, for Joyce, our city manager, and Randy, our city attorney, for their commitment to serve the people and businesses of this great community. May the discussions and decisions made here this evening provide for the needs of our community, and may it bring you honor and glory. Pour out your blessings of peace, protection, and provision for our first responders, our city employees, civic leaders, and for all who live and work in this great city. Help us to break down the walls of violence, hatred, and anger, and fill our hearts with care, compassion, and love for all people. Thank you, Almighty God, for the gift of life, for we know that life is precious, and for the many blessings you provide for us. Guide us and direct us to use those blessings to be a blessing to others, not only this night, but always. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father. You all can be seated. Okay, at this time, we're going to move on to presentation and proclamation section of the agenda. Today, we have one proclamation. This is a time we can acknowledge and celebrate individuals, organizations, and other community successes or achievements within our wonderful city. I'd like to invite Mary Smith, President of Ormond Beach Historical Society, and Stacy Simmons, Secretary of OBHS and Chair of the American Revolution Experience Travel and Exhibit Committee, to receive the proclamation.
I apologize, my instructor's not able to attend this evening. She's under the weather.
Oh, that's okay. We have a lot of that going on right now. Who would like to hold up the proclamation? Okay, there we go.
Don't hide your face.
Hello? Whereas on July 4, 2026, our nation will commemorate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And whereas the journey toward this historic milestone provides an opportunity to reflect on our nation's past, honor the contributions of all Americans, and look ahead to future generations who will carry forward the ideals of democracy and individual liberty that make the United States a unique nation in the world community. And whereas the Ormond Beach Historical Society, founded in 1976 as the Ormond Beach Historical Trust, shares the rich history of Ormond Beach through education and preservation. And whereas the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, a non-political women's service organization established in 1890, includes members descended from patriots of the American Revolution. And whereas from the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party in 2023 to the upcoming 250th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 2033, we celebrate our nation's history and the patriots who fought for independence, ensuring liberty and the establishment of a new nation. And whereas the Ormond Beach Historical Society welcomes the American Revolution Experience Travel and Exhibit to the Anderson Price Memorial Building in Ormond Beach, Florida, from February 22nd through March 3rd, 2025. Now, therefore, I, Jason Leslie, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, do hereby proclaim February 22nd, 2025 as the opening day, the American Revolution Experience. Congratulations, thank you. Now it's time for a group photo.
Wonderful. Move this way?
Well, follow their instructions.
This is a new podium. I don't know how it moves. It's not easy. Thank you. There we go. There you go. Sorry. You're fine. Everybody in there is really English. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Don't forget your fan over here. Okay, go. Thank you. Okay. That's always fun, right? At this time, we will hear from those of you who have signed a card to speak about any item which is not on the printed agenda for this meeting, as well as any items on the consent agenda. Each person will be given 3 minutes, and the first one, is our Commissioner, Troy Kent. Councilman. Thanks. Former Commissioner. You got some fans.
You know, Debbie Kruk Forrester, you gotta love her. Thanks, Debbie. Mayor and Commission, it's great to see you all. First time in the chambers since your update. The dais looks great. You all look great. The monitors are, it's all futuristic. It looks like home, but doesn't look like home at the same time. I wanted to come in and on behalf of my lovely wife, Heather, and myself and our entire Kent family, we just wanted to thank you. You were able to get something across the finish line that I tried to do for 16 years, 16 of my 19 years working in these chambers. And that is, you were able to remove fluoride from our drinking water. And I just personally wanted to come down and thank you. Now, I know that you're going to have 2 hearings on this. I know you're going to have some people hammering you with emails and phone calls about why it was a terrible idea to take fluoride out of the water. And I just want to remind you of a couple of things, okay? At best, it's a medicine. At worst, it's a poison. But let's just say we're going to call it a medicine. Don't medicate me and my family with our water supply, okay? You can't go to the drugstore and get the fluoride that they put in that water unless you had a prescription from a medical doctor. So why are you putting it in the water supply? I just tell you this as some more background so that when people are calling you and telling you, I want it in my water, there's other ways they can get it. But if you put it in the water, we can't take it out unless we buy crazy expensive services at our own home to remove that from our water, and we shouldn't have to do that. So I wanted to publicly come down and just say thank you on behalf of the entire Kent family. I had no idea that was happening, and I woke up and read it, and I was overjoyed. The second thing is I want you to get something else across the finish line that I could not get across. And if I have to, I will meet each of you individually so that you all don't violate sunshine. And I would like to drive with you on Riverside Drive. You heard me talk about it before. And there are 2 very effective speed humps that are there, that they slow down the traffic like they're supposed to on Fluhart. I'm an advocate for that. What I'm not an advocate for is they're the exact same color as the roadway. They're black. You cannot see them at night. You come up and you hammer them, and I'm okay with them, but I want you all to put flashing lights at the exact location of where they are, and there's 2 of them. I live in that area, and I forget about them, and I'm older, but I'm not older. So it's something else I want you all to get across the finish line that I couldn't. Thank you for the great work that you do every day. Randy, good to see you.
Thank you, Councilman Troy Kent. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate your service too, by the way. All right, next one we have is Debbie Forrester.
Good evening, everybody. Debbie Crack-Forrester, founder and commander of Ormond Strong, a grassroots nonprofit supporting military veterans, first responders, their families, and our community. 3 days ago, actually February 1st, began the start of Black History Month, which originated in 1926 when historian Carter G. Woodson designated a week in February to celebrate and educate people about Black history and culture, choosing this month because it included the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. In 1976, President Gerald Ford officially expanded the celebration to a full month, making it Black History Month nationwide. In the spirit of Carter G. Woodson, I would like to honor and acknowledge a few of our heroes. Tuskegee Airmen were the first African-American military pilots in the United States who trained and fought in World War II. Their service helped pave the way for desegregation of the United States military. My grandpa was Battle of the Bulge, and he spoke about this at length to us. Our local hero, Mary McLeod Bethune, everyone knows who she is. Her statue was given to the National Statuary Hall Collection by Florida in 2021. In World War II, Mary saw military service and defense-related jobs as an opportunity for Black women to become a part of history when the Women's Auxiliary Corps, the WACs, were created in 1942. It was the first time women could serve in the Army in roles other than nurses. Having worked closely with the Roosevelt administration, Bethune was one of the most influential leaders of her time. With her influence and persistence, some 6,500 African Americans served as WACs over the course of World War II. In closing, it's important to celebrate Black History Month. First, there's still a lot to learn about Black history. Black history unites us. Celebrating differences has countless benefits. We better understand how important our own stories are. And Black History Month reminds us to dig deeper and think bigger. Thank you very much. Ormond Strong out.
Thanks, Debbie. Next is Jennifer Bright.
Good evening. I'd like to thank those of you that made a real effort to speak into the mics so the folks in the back of the room could hear. It's appreciated, and I hope it continues. There's been a lot of talk about the Sunshine Law this last month. The Florida's Attorney General's office concluded that the Sunshine Law does not apply to a political forum sponsored by a private civic club during which commissioners express their position on matters that may foreseeably come before the commission, so long as the commissioners avoid discussions amongst themselves on these issues. The Sunshine Law does not apply to private citizens unless they are part of a board or commission. In other words, the Sunshine Law is meant to provide right of access to governmental proceedings of public boards and commissions at local levels. The reason I state this is as of the January 21st meeting, I have reached out 3 times and requested an in-person meeting with my commissioner, since that's what he chooses to do, not email, and he has not responded to my request for a meeting. As for the consent items, the city has a very misleading title. The agenda item that is an agreement with the city, between the city and Hope Place in Daytona Beach. The staff report shows $29,900 for Hope Place, which is great. But then they threw in a $169,000 project for a sidewalk replacement in Ormond Beach. Why is the city putting in a sidewalk replacement under the title of a homeless shelter? Does this mean the city will no longer be funding one-step facility, or is this money in addition to? Another agenda item, the city put out a work bid, and then staff suggested that the lowest bid should not be taken, and that the bid, so why do we have a bidding process if the city is going to suggest that we select a bid that comes in higher than the lowest amount? The last one in question is the waste management renewal. The agenda packet does not contain an estimated cost of this renewal. We don't know how long the contract is for, and we don't even know if it was opened up for bids. With all these unanswered questions, how are our elected officials supposed to make good, informed decisions? Thank you.
Okay, this time we're going to move, we have no more public comment cards here, so we're going to move over to approval of the minutes. The minutes for the January 21st, 2025 City Commission meeting have been sent to the Commission for review and posted to the city's website. Does anyone have any corrections or changes?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor? By saying aye. Oppose? All the ayes have it. Approved. Now we're going to move on to 7. The following item is a community redevelopment item. The City Commission serves as the community redevelopment agency of the city and must review this item and make a recommendation as the CRA. Therefore, we will recess the City Commission meeting and call the CRA meeting to order. I will now open the public hearings. Madam Secretary, please read the title, 7A.
Resolution number 2025-45, a resolution of the City Commission also acting as the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, accepting a proposal from Zev Cohen and Associates, Inc., to provide construction administration services for the Casson Park redevelopment project, authorizing the execution of a work authorization and payment therefore, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2025-45, read by title only.
Do we need the city engineer, Alex Schuman, to speak on the item?
Move approval.
Oh, hold on, I got a card.
Okay.
If not, then we will call up Jennifer Bright.
City staff wants to hire the construction administration services in the amount of $63,395 for the Sesson Park redevelopment project. Within the staff report, there is conflicting information, which states the proposal fee is 2.5% of the construction amount at $2.4+ million. This breaks down to $61,226. What amount is the city really voting on to pass? Are we forking out $63,000 or $61,000, since there's conflicting information? Thank you.
With that, I have no other cards. Any discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Can we ask a question?
Sure.
I would,
Fine.
I was just going to have
Yeah,
second for the
so-
second.
Well, if you want to do the second, we can go on discussion if you want.
Second.
Okay. Discussion now?
So question for staff, for Claire or Sean. Can you address the inconsistency?
I'm gonna assume that it's a rounding error, or it's a rounded, 2.65, we can do some math right here and find what 63, it's for $63,395. I'm going to assume that that's probably 2.51%, 2.52%. So I think that someone probably, where they could have rounded to the 100th place, rounded to the 10th place. I
So
apologize.
we're voting on the number.
We're voting on the bottom line here of $63,395, which represents approximately 2.5%.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? Well, all those in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the city commission meeting. Items on the consent agenda are deemed routine and non-controversial. The action proposed is stated for each item. Unless the city commission removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Does any member of the commission wish to pull any items from the consent agenda? I know that, go ahead, Commissioner Deaton.
I'd like to pull 8E, please.
8E. Okay.
I'm sorry, which
Assistant.
one are you pulling? I didn't hear you.
8E.
Claire, were you guys pulling?
Yes, Mayor, staff would like to pull item 8G. We'll be revising it and bringing it back at the next commission meeting.
Okay, so you're going to pull AG and you're going to just bring it back at another
Yes,
meeting?
sir.
Okay. AG. No cards. Okay, then, so then we will go ahead and make a motion here to approve the items on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda, less 8E.
Second?
Okay, and AG?
And AG,
Yeah, okay.
yes, you're
AG,
correct.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none. City Clerk, please call the vote.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Do you want to read the title for 8E?
8E, Resolution Number 2025-49, a resolution authorizing the execution of a community development subrecipient agreement between the City of Ormond Beach and Halifax Urban Ministries, Inc. regarding homelessness prevention services provided at Hope Place and setting forth an effective date. This is Resolution Number 2025-49, read by title only.
Okay. Is there a motion in the meantime before we go to discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
So I pulled this one simply because the verbiage was a little misconstruing to me, and I did reach out for some questions. I would just like staff to speak to it. I understand the 29. I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about sidewalks. However, it did seem like a large amount, and I would just like staff to speak to it if you could, please.
No, and I think that the confusion here is in the summary. What you're actually voting on is just that agreement with Hope Place. The summary there puts some background that on June 4th, you approved that commission at the time approved a plan for the this year's CDBG funds, which included two projects, or which had two expenses. The sidewalk, which is a separate item, which were brought to you separately, and the Hope Place distribution. So this is, the title of it accurately reflects what we're doing, and those attachments for the Hope Place agreement is attached. There is no, you're not voting on anything related to sidewalks with this item.
Already approved. Yep.
Okay, so any other discussion before we go call a vote?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Deaton. Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. We're going to move to 9 now, public hearings. And I will now open the public hearings, and City Clerk, please read 9A.
Ordinance number 2025-08. An ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Administration, Article 2, Administration and Enforcement, Section 1-19, Appeals. Amending Chapter 1, General Administration, Article 3, Definitions and Acronyms, Section 1-22, Definitions of Terms and Words. Amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 2, District Regulations, Section 2-35. PRD, Planned Residential Development District, subsection H, Recreational Facilities. Amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 6, Overlay Districts, Section 2-73, Greenbelt and Gateway Preservation Districts. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping, Section 3-03, Tree Removal Process. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping, Section 3-04, Tree Protection and Replacement. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping, Section 3-05, Landscape and Irrigation Plan Requirements. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping, Section 3-06, Buffer Area Requirements. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping, Section 3-07, Reserve to create Section 3-07, Existing Developments, Landscaping. Amending Section 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping, Section 3-08, Maintenance of Plantings and Irrigation Systems / Enforcement. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping by repealing Section 3-09, Land Clearing, and creating Section 3-09, Tree Abuse. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping by repealing Section 3-10, Grading and Filling, and creating Section 3-10, Land Alteration Permits. Amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 1, Landscaping by repealing Section 3-11, Mining and Excavation. Amending Chapter 4, Plans Review and Subdivision, Article 1, Site Plan Review Procedures, Section 4-02, Site Plan Approval Required. Thresholds and amending Chapter 4, Plan Review and Subdivision, Article 1, Site Plan Review Procedures, Section 4-07, Restriction on Release of Permits of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code to update landscaping standards, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2025-08, read by title only.
We don't need the plan director back up here, right, for a second reading here? Do you guys need Stephen Spraker to speak?
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 cards, so I just want to let you know. Before we can go to, we'll go to discussion a little bit, yeah. In the meantime, Jennifer Bright wants to speak on this item.
The Property Owner Bill of Rights in Florida serves to inform and protect property owners. It outlines their rights and responsibilities, emphasizing property rights as the cornerstone of individual liberty and economic prosperity. The bill affirms that the right to acquire, possess, and protect property without undue interference, subject to reasonable regulations, serving in the public interest. These changes in this, there's quite a few changes that can cause potential safety concerns and unnecessary expense and possible hardships to homeowners. Thank you.
Next card we have is Ed Lacombe.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Commissioners, City staff, leaders of our first responders, thank you all for everything you do here. I'm here as a citizen. I live at Kings Crossing subdivision, and some of you have been aware that I got caught up in the city ordinances of tree removal. And I wanted to speak not on that tonight. That's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to speak for people moving forward in this community on two specific areas, because I only got 2.5 minutes left. One area is public safety, and the other area is education. And on the public safety side, all you have to do is Google trees falling into houses, killing or injuring people, and you'll find hundreds of listings. You don't have to go very far to find one that happened here in Ormond Beach during Hurricane Milton. A couple was killed in their house when a tree fell into it. Now, I was trying to take proactive action with mine by removing a very large tree, approximately the weight of 2 school buses, hollow to the core, diseased on the outside, branches that were known to fall 12 feet from my house, standing 80 feet tall, 20 feet from my neighbor's house. So, not knowing much about the tree ordinances of Ormond Beach, and not knowing much about tree removal in general, I hired a professional company to come and remove and haul away the tree. And that takes me to area 2, which is education. And this is what I'm really hoping you guys can address moving forward, because I'm a smart guy. I can speak intelligently about a lot of things, but I can't speak intelligently about the tree ordinances. At least I couldn't up to that point of Ormond Beach. So I hired a professional, thought that I was doing the right thing to remove a dangerous tree with an upcoming storm season that was advertised to be extremely dangerous and active, and found myself in the bad graces of the city. So my suggestion would be is that any entity you allow to issue permits or to cut down trees professionally with whatever their license is, that you require them to either have a certified arborist on staff who can handle such requests, or at the very least give written disclosure to the homeowner that there's a responsibility that the city requires you to meet in order to remove a tree of any kind in the city of Ormond Beach. I think that second thing is probably the most important of the two. But I would also say, moving forward, as new development happens, consider that a lot of development is happening in areas where oaks are already in present. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Ed. I know you want to say something about this.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I brought this up at our last meeting, and I thank Mr. Lacombe for coming tonight. He and I have had several discussions on this. As he pointed out, the couple that was killed during Hurricane Milton were close friends of mine. And that was a tree that they had discussed. That particular tree is apparently one they had discussed about having removed. They had not moved forward about doing anything with it. But I think to my point last meeting, and I thank Mr. Lacombe for pointing out, that sometimes when you hire, for instance, when you hire a general contractor to build a house in the city of Ormond Beach, he knows he has to go down to City Hall and pick up permits. He has to pull permits to build that house. When you look in the phone book and you call someone to cut a tree down, you kind of figure that they may also be the ones that they come out and tell you you're going to cut the tree down. They're going to go down to the city and pull a permit. Now, most of these people, if I'm not mistaken, Randy can probably help me out, have business licenses in the city of Ormond Beach. So to that end, if they have a business license in the city of Ormond Beach, they should have some sort of understanding that either they are responsible for pulling the permit, which actually falls on the resident, but they need to let the residents know. I mean, they should have to, give them something in writing stating, listen, here's our contract to cut the tree down, but either you or we will go down to City Hall and pull the permit for you. I think there's a lot of confusion. I don't think a lot of tree surgeons do that. I also think there's confusion between what's a tree surgeon and what's an arborist. A tree surgeon will look at a tree and tell you that the tree may need to come down, but they're not a certified arborist. So I think if we can clean up some of this education, and listen, there are dangerous trees. I think there's something that passed, I think maybe it was last year in Tallahassee, there was a bill that passed that speaks to potentially or imminent, potentially dangerous trees, I guess, as long as a certified arborist signs off on it. And Randy, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't even think they have to come to the city they don't have to apply for a permit if an arborist will tell them that it's a dangerous tree or an imminent tree.
There are actually several layers of issues in the topic.
Hey, Randy, can you just put that microphone a little closer, because I don't think anybody can hear you.
I think it's picking up. I think it's,
Oh,
for recording purposes, it's
Okay,
picking
sorry.
up. So there are several issues that are kind of layered into that question. There is a statute that does allow a property owner, and the onus is on the property owner, because the property owner owns the property.
Right.
And typically, the property owner is responsible for all work that is conducted on the property. That provides an opportunity for a property owner to get an arborist, or whatever the legal term is in a statute, to assess a tree and make a determination as to whether or not it's dead, dying, or diseased. And if so, then a permit is not required, but they've got to have that paper in hand, right? If they don't have that, then that's the problem. Because you can't look back after the act and say, well, I didn't know, because ultimately the property owner is responsible. Educational purposes, we can amend the ordinance to require the contractors, if you will, to inform the property owner. But what's the penalty if they don't? Ultimately, the property owner is still responsible, right? So what's the penalty to the contractor? I suppose
Perhaps they can't do business in the city of Ormond Beach.
Well,
If we say you just don't issue them a license or revoke their license.
it's not quite as simple as that. And I think ultimately the responsibility falls on the property owner, as it rightfully should. Okay? We can look to see what other jurisdictions are doing on this question, and whether there's other ways that we might be able to amend the ordinance.
Is there any way, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is there any way, because I've had experience with this thing too with these trees, and I have a lot of concern, but is there a way that we can, when a contractor, files for the permit, that the city can at least send notice to the property owner of, some other steps they might have to take and other things they might have to do to be aware of, that maybe the contractor might not be, telling them about?
Probably lots of things that could be done. You could probably post it on your website, right? People know where the website is at. But I would submit that if a contractor's not pulling the permit, then they're not advising the property owner that they need to get a permit, and they won't do that. So I think, and I'm all in favor of amending the ordinance if it's going to be effective. But if in the end what we do is we create another layer that there's no way to enforce, then what's the purpose that's been accomplished? Because you haven't really fixed the concern that you've expressed, right? So that's just food from thought. But if you want us to take a look at it from a staff perspective, we can. And Stephen, I don't know, or Sean, if you want to weigh into that or not.
I think it's worth looking at some different options, and certainly, we could probably come up with a couple different ideas that maybe would, help us to get the word out. And it could be something simple as if and this all is dependent upon someone pulling a permit, of course. But if someone does pull a permit that's an arborist or a tree company, we could, the number of historic trees that are taken down each year are pretty slim. that on those occasions, we can maybe, I think, reach out directly to the homeowner, from staff-wise and say, just to follow up with you, we understand you're taking this tree down. Here's some additional steps before you get that tree pulled down that you may be responsible for. So let's take a look at it and see what's practical and what we really think will do some good effort.
I think
If you don't pull a permit, then all bets are off the table, though.
Right.
Can I just add, it
Sure,
is a
Claire.
balancing act. We do encourage the preservation of trees. We are Tree City USA, and it's balancing that. And I just do want to thank Mr. Lacombe. We worked very, very hard, lots of time on resolving, your issue, and I hope that was successfully reached. And I was very happy with that outcome, and I hope you were as well, because we do understand the residents sometimes get caught in between a business that is not as forthcoming and transparent as they should be, and the homeowner sometimes pays the price.
yes.
So thank you for your patience in working through that.
Who wanted to go first? Oh,
Claire.
there you go, Deputy Mayor.
Claire, thank you for saying that. What I wanted to just add to this conversation is a lot of the tree companies that are around are not really tree companies. Mm-hmm. They troll the neighborhoods. They take one tree down, they're knocking on your door saying, oh, we're certified, blah, 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 and they're not. And we can't expect them that they will ever pull permits. So I think the education piece, the looking at the ordinances, but I think it's more education than anything. And, we just updated this ordinance, and there are conversation in there for dangerous trees. That is a discussion in it. So dangerous trees can be taken down, but we just have companies that are unethical, and they're taking trees down left and right. So anyway, that's all I wanted to add.
And I just don't want to confuse you. I'm totally pro-tree, but you do get you run into those circumstances where you do have a dangerous tree, and I've seen perfectly healthy trees that potentially dangerous trees because they have a certain lean or whatever. So,
Commissioner Dean, do you want to say something?
No, not really. I wanted to chime in on what Commissioner Tollins said. A lot of these companies are not very forthcoming, and they're going to knock on your door. And my concern, of course, lies with potentially the naive or the elderly resident who might just be more trusting. And so if we could harp on the education piece, or, I don't think there's anything we can do to make those companies be more truthful, or pull the permits properly. I just, that's where my heart goes, is the people that might be more naive.
So, Sean and Stephen, you'll look at some options and then get back to the commission, let us know. All right, we appreciate it. All right, well, we're still on 9A here.
I would be honored to make a motion to accept ordinance, may I do this?
Yes, you may.
Ordinance number 2025-08.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Susan, please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. I will now close the public hearings. We're going to move on to 10, to staff and commission reports, suggestions and requests, starting with the Assistant City Manager, Claire Whitley.
Good evening. Thank you. The 2025 Citizens Academy will begin on April 17th. The program is 6 weeks on Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. with graduation at the June 3rd City Commission meeting. We're pleased to announce the class is full again. This is only our second time holding the class. We had such success with the program last year, and we're looking forward to another great group, an exciting program. So, lastly, the movies on the Halifax. I'm excited about this one. On Friday, February 7th at 6 p.m. on the lawn at Rockefeller Gardens for Movies on the Halifax. This month's free movie feature is 50 First Dates. Always fun. So I can't see that one too many times.
Well, thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Assistant City Manager, Sean Finley.
Nothing further. Have a good night.
Thanks, Sean. City Attorney, Randy?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. And then this evening, we will start with Commissioner Deaton.
Thank you. I don't tend to mix my business with city matters. I find it to be a conflict of interest. However, I received 9 phone calls this week, and so I figured it needed to be addressed. This past week, the Ormond Observer did an interview that prompted multiple local licensed real estate professionals and mortgage professionals to contact me with concerns over misinformation stated in the article. For transparency, and for those of you not aware, my full-time job for the last decade is a licensed residential mortgage lender. Not only do I originate mortgages, but as a sales manager, I also train and coach other loan officers. I reviewed the interview, and I understand their concerns. They stem from the possibility of the misinformation scaring away potential buyers to our area. The numbers stated in the article are inaccurate. To note, and to my knowledge, the interviewee is not licensed to do real estate or mortgages in the state of Florida. As a licensed mortgage professional, we analyze each applicant's credit and debt to income to determine what they qualify for. This is not a one-size-fits-all industry. As a professional courtesy, I do not get involved in the real estate side of the transaction, and I expect licensed real estate professionals to revert mortgage-related questions to a licensed mortgage professional. I think it is very important to be mindful when we're publicly stating as elected officials. We are often held to a higher standard due to our titles. With that being said, I just simply encourage that we be more conscious about what we are speaking to. Lastly, our country suffered immense loss this past week. Ormond Beach tragically lost Captain Jonathan Campos, the pilot of the American Airlines plane in the DC air collision. Jonathan was an Embry-Riddle graduate and a Zone 3 resident. My husband had the pleasure of teaching and knowing Jonathan through Embry-Riddle. Please join me in keeping his family in our thoughts, as well as the families of all of those fallen this past week. Thank you for being here, and have a great night.
Commissioner Briley.
Thank you, Mayor. I really don't have much this evening, except I just do want to mention a couple things. One, last Monday, we attended the ribbon cutting for the Doug Thomas Way extension, and want to say how well-deserved that was, Mr. Thomas. Doug has been a champion of recreation in Ormond Beach for many, many years, and we appreciate all of your contributions, not just to recreation, but the city as a whole. So thank you, sir. And the only other thing I have this evening is I was sorry to learn of the passing of Sands Lassiter. Sands was a gentleman who had a transportation and engineering firm in Ormond Beach for quite a few years, and would appear before us regularly with different projects, and was always a professional. If Sands Lassiter told you something, you could probably take it to the bank. He was just probably one of the best of the folks in his industry. So I just want to say how sorry I am, and pass along my condolences to his family. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll say goodnight. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Tolland.
Thank you very much. I do want to let you know that I did attend the Scenic Loop and Trail meeting last week, and they were absolutely ecstatic to be included in the comp plan update. So thank you, Mr. Spraker, for including that. And also just let you know that I was inducted into the Volusia League of Cities Board of Directors, and I'm looking forward to representing Ormond Beach as we collaborate with other municipalities promoting home rule and our advocacy in Tallahassee. I was honored to witness and enjoy the Ormond Beach Fire Department's first banquet at SR Parat. The fire department community celebrated their own heroes, and they lifted up their brotherhood. It was really a lot of fun to see all those folks enjoying themselves and being honored. And I will say I am very sorry to have missed the Doug Thomas Way ribbon cutting. My heart was there with you all as commissioners, and you, Mr. Thomas, as you celebrated my absolute favorite resident and his very generous, community-minded ways. Doug has worked a lifetime, and I mean a very long lifetime, promoting recreation and our youth, and I'm sincerely thankful for him. So thank you.
Did you just call Doug old?
I just called him old. Yes, I did. Let's see. And to the gentleman, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but I do appreciate your comments about the tree ordinance, and it seems like we really heard what you had to say, and I'm sorry you experienced whatever you experienced. And I also want to thank staff and the community for their input, presenting the updated comprehensive plan. It was a labor of love, even though I know we legally had to do it. But you could, technically you could skim over some stuff and get away with it, but our staff did not do that. They looked at every detail, and I'm very appreciative of that, and it's reflected in the quality of the work. And I will say I'm really looking forward to further discussion on stormwater management as well. I know we've tasked you with a big task, but I think all of us and all the residents will benefit from that research. So with all of that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On the consent agenda, we had, I have actually nominated 2 people to be Goodwill Ambassadors, who I think are still in here, Debbie Forrester and Marvin Miller. Want to thank you very much for doing this. It's much appreciated. And before you leave, see the city clerk, I want to give each one of you a challenge coin from the city as a token of appreciation from myself and the commission here for doing what you do. So I'm going to pass that over here to...
So are we going to bring them up at some point?
I didn't know if it was appropriate, but we can do that at the end of the meeting if you want.
Well,
Just do a quick photo.
Why don't they get their certificates and everything?
Right.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I just wanted to give that to them in the meantime, just in case
Okay.
they didn't get it. And then also, we had some big birthdays that we celebrated, and I think some of you all signed a card, right, for the 104th birthday? And this was recommended by Susan, our city clerk, so thank you, Susan, for big birthday celebrations to have, I'm going to pass it around to you guys if you haven't seen it. It'll have your signatures already on it as a happy birthday, and then I'll just personalize a little note in there and sign as well. So I wanted you to see that. I thought that was a great recommendation, and thank you very much, Susan. And I'll pass it over here to you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
This past Friday, I had the privilege to read a proclamation for the 2025 annual Shabbat service at Temple Beth. That was a really nice service. Marvin wasn't able to attend, I know you remember, but he was under the weather. But it was a great group, and we had 6 rabbis from different areas of Volusia and Flagler County. They were really happy that I stopped by, read the proclamation, and then I stayed all the way to the end because they usually have good dessert, so I was happy to do that. The other thing is that I got appointed on the First Step Shelter Board, and so one of the things that I wanted to do was go drive around with an officer, do a ride-along, and talk to homeless people and see what's going on, and maybe we can encourage them to go into the program so they can get off the street. One of the officers I rode with was Lieutenant Larson, who is very helpful and knowledgeable about everything that goes on in the city. So we had one individual that was living in his minivan, and he was pretty comfortable for the most part, but it was cold that night. It's when the temperatures were a little colder than usual. And, he didn't want to go in the program. He just said basically that I just need a job. He had a stroke. Because you could tell by the way he talked, but he was pretty vocal about it too. And so Lieutenant Larson said that, I know somebody that works at the car wash nearby, and maybe I could help you out. And so, because, the First Step Shelter was just, he just needed a little help. And sometimes, that's just not a fit for everybody, that program. Well, I'm happy to announce that before I came to the meeting tonight, Lieutenant Larson sent me a text message with the picture of the individual who is now working at the car wash. And he helped facilitate that by getting him, the job and getting him straight. So I'm really happy that kind of made my day because I was thinking about this individual. And in fact, my last board meeting, I brought that up in the situation with this individual, how not everybody, is going to be a good fit for the program. And we need to find other ways to help these people so they don't end up losing their car and so on and end up in the street. So thank you to the Ormond Beach Police Department, everything that you guys do. the amount of work that they do is incredible. We're just taking interviews, taking some information from them, seeing if they need any help with anything. It was, like I said, around that time, it was extremely cold. So it was a really great experience, and I did about maybe 8 hours of riding in 2 different shifts. We had the Super Bowl, so we had the Chiefs and Eagles. That's a hard one there, right? We've seen the Chiefs many times, and we got the Eagles. And the last thing is, in the last meeting, Deputy Mayor, you brought up the 6-step plan, 7-step plan that was brought up by Councilman Kent. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to touch on that too the last meeting, but I got a little sidetracked. But I was just wondering if the commission would be in support of just, maybe sending a letter to the county council, the members, and just saying, hey, we really support what Councilman Kent said in regard to his 7-step program. I think it was a 6-step program.
Yeah, I don't have any objection to anything he said in there, but I was thinking maybe that would be something we could incorporate into our stormwater workshop.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea, so we can do that too.
That's what I was thinking, because there were a lot of elements in there that we could have, that we have to elaborate on. So
Okay.
I would like to get staff input as well, but
Okay.
I do think there's a lot of merit to those steps.
Yeah, and like I said, when you brought it up, I meant
Yeah.
to, kind of piggyback off that, and I just got sidetracked, so I wanted to bring it up again tonight.
Yeah, good.
So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.